Oh, Sonny, Sonny, Sonny. How far you have fallen for grace. This was once upon a time literally the most downloaded woman in the entire world. In 1996, she was the hottest girl alive. The internet said so. It was unanimous. Hotter than the Pamela Andersons of the time, the Jenny McCarthy's, the Hillary Rodham Clintons. Hotter than all of the people that were around in the 1996 era. Sonny, Tammy Sytch. And boy, oh boy, how she has fallen from grace since then. Her absolute peak stardom. She was a household name, and now she is sitting in a courtroom, and she was sentenced this week to 17 plus years. 18, technically, but she's got time served and such. Poor Sonny. Of course, you've all heard about this situation, I assume, right? She killed a man down in Florida, drunk driving, literally drunk driving. Not just I got drunk and then I went and drove. Literally had the bottle in the car with her. Weed in her system. Not that I care about that, but, you know, doesn't help her cause either. And just crashes. She already ran through a red light. She was driving like she almost killed two people on her way to killing this guy, according to the reports. And then she killed this guy, crashed into the back of him. He crashed into another car in front of him, and that somehow, I'm not sure if he smashed his head or broke his neck. I don't know. He's old, fragile, right? Doesn't matter. She killed a man, dead. And she will have you think that, oh, she's so sorry for this. I'm so sorry. But she was literally online arguing with fucking trolls after it happened, saying that it wasn't even her fault, that he had a heart attack, and that she was barely going any fast at all, and wasn't drinking, and blah, 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 blah. Well, it's all caught up with her now. All her DUIs, all her everything else, as she was, again, as I said, sentenced to nearly 17 years in prison consecutively. For more on this, I want to show you some clips from the actual court hearing. First clip I'm going to play you here is Tammy, Sonny, giving her final plea. She is going to look the judge in the eye and beg for me, bitch, beg for her freedom, for some sympathy. She begs to be free and to use her celebrity to teach others how bad it is. Check out this clip. And then after that, right after that, we're going to check out a clip of the judge passing down the sentence.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Excuse me. I've been battling a little bit of a cold this week. I lost my voice. When I was 16 years old, I decided to apply to college and study biology and pre-med because I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to help people through their pain and suffering, but more importantly, I wanted to heal people. The first line of the Hippocratic Oath reads, "I will do no harm." On March 25th, 2022, I did the opposite of that. I did harm to someone else, and my entire being was crushed. My career path took a different course than medical, but my morals, values, and ethics have always remained the same. And I've had time to consider things like some of the good that came from my career. Through my time in the industry, I was able to help people from one end of the spectrum to the other. I entertained and brought happiness to some people's lives. Once I was able to help a stranger who was having a seizure at one of my appearances at a convention. And I've made terminally ill children's wishes come through the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I have done something horrible, but I am so much more than the worst that I have done. I try to think about the good I've done, because when I sit alone thinking about what I did to the Lassiter family that tragic day, from a stupid decision, I feel the regret and remorse deep inside my soul. I know that they don't get to rest knowing he's gone. Because when I was 20, I lost my father as well, to heart disease. And just last August, my 87-year-old mother passed away while I've been incarcerated. I never got to say goodbye to her, just as they didn't get to say goodbye to their beloved family member. I know how it feels, how it hurts, how it tears your heart out. And for that, I'm truly, truly sorry. I know my words are not enough, but please know that I think about you every day. Every second of every day. And I know I will do whatever I can to make the changes I need to make sure this never happens again. No one should have to go through this. And please know that every single second of every day since the crash, I have wished I could trade places with you. I try to think back to what caused my downfall. And I think it started with the death of my fiance, Chris, in 2005. He was tragically taken from this world. And I hated myself for not being able to change things for him, to heal him and care for him, and keep him safe. But what followed was a huge string of mistakes that I should have learned from. I should have learned, but I couldn't connect my mind to my heart to do the right thing. There are many things in my life that I wish I would have done differently. But they say everything happens for a reason. I refuse to go backward and make the same mistakes again. Because the pain I feel in my heart for what happened is indescribable. It haunts me daily and each night in my nightmares. But the only way to fix it is to truly change my path. If I could turn back time, I would. If I could find a way to change the events that happened that day, I would in a heartbeat. If I could bring Mr. Lassiter back and take his place, I would in an instant. I feel that if I was given the chance to change, to redeem myself, and if I used my resources, my personal experiences, my history, and a little bit of the fame that I garnered a long time ago, I can be a true asset to the community by helping to educate our youth and adults about the dangers of drinking and driving, the dangers of not having your mental illness properly treated, and the catastrophic events that can result from it. A precious life was lost that tragic day, and I'm so incredibly sorry for that. I would ask that you give me the opportunity to atone for what I've done, and then to be released and decided to contribute to it in the most positive way possible. Thank you.
All right, thank you. In regard to these DUI manslaughter cases, they're particularly difficult in sentencing in criminal court. We see, of course, many senseless crimes, much unnecessary pain and suffering by victims, but somehow the DUI manslaughter cases seem to be the worst. Nothing that this court says or does today can bring back Mr. Lassiter, and I'm pretty certain that nothing that I say or do, although I wish it could provide some sort of comfort for the family. Mr. Lassiter, although I'll mention, of course, every human life has infinite value. Of the testimony that I've heard, there's a very, very positive influence on people around him and tried to help people. So it's always sad to lose a human life, particularly one that's such a light in so many people's lives. This family, of course, will forever have the day before this happened and then the day after. And that line in the sand of delineation for them will be a prominent point in their lives that will be just infinitely sad. In this day and age where we have Uber and Lyft and everything else, all these other taxi services, I do have a difficult time sort of unwrapping why it is that we see DUI manslaughter in such a reckless disregard for human life, which is what a DUI manslaughter represents. In this particular case, the defendant is requesting a downward departure. Their burden of proof would be to show me, by the preponderance of the evidence, that the defendant requires specialized treatment for a mental disorder that is unrelated to substance abuse or addiction, or for a physical disability, and that the defendant is amenable to treatment. While I credit the efforts made by the defense in regard to bringing the two very qualified doctors in to testify, this court has some concerns in regard to whether the preponderance of the evidence has been met. And candidly, when the court has questions in its mind, the reality is somebody has a burden of proof. The questions for this court, given the long history of the substance abuse by the defendant and the overlapping symptoms of the mental illness or the substance abuse, can't say by the preponderance of the evidence that it's unrelated. The substance abuse treatment clearly began long before any symptoms that they've described for me of the mental illness that they're diagnosing. In fairness, Dr. Danziger met with her, I believe, one time. Dr. Fabian met with her 3 times. And a lot of their information was based on her self-reporting. In addition to that, the state made the point across that when I'm looking at the language that requires specialized treatment, well, part of that specialized treatment was a mood stabilizer, which I think was pretty much conceded could be provided in the prison system. So I can't say by the preponderance of the evidence that the grounds for the downward departure have been met. Had I found that, though, I do want to go ahead and say, I'm going to answer the question of whether the court should depart. Even had the court found that the downward departure was met, this court can't say that this is a case where it should depart. The facts of this case are fairly egregious. The defendant admits to drinking vodka before driving in her kitchen while she's preparing, I guess, burritos. Her blood alcohol is very, very high. Though a low level, she has some THC in her system. There's an open bottle on the front seat of the car of the vodka that she's drinking, apparently. She runs a red light just prior to this accident, almost causes another accident, slams into the back of this decedent, Mr. Lassiter, so hard that he hits the car in front of him. While he's stopping at a red light at, before 8:30 p.m. in the evening. So through no fault of his own, and I can't say that I've seen anything that Mr. Lassiter could have done to prevent this. Unfortunately, we had the death of Mr. Lassiter. In mitigation, I do have to acknowledge a few things. While I don't feel that there are grounds to downward depart, I think there was some evidence of at least some current mental health issues in regard to the defendant and some serious addiction issues. She has had some tragedy in her life, although candidly many of us have, and unfortunately it doesn't really relieve the responsibility of a crime like this. The defendant in this case has entered an open plea. She's taken some responsibility for her actions, and I do credit her for that.
Craft together something special in your home.
We always find our way back home.
In regard to the Gabriel case, and I'm going to go ahead and cite the case for the record. It's a Supreme Court case from the state of Florida. It is cited at 314 7th 3rd 1243. It's a 2021 case, as I said, out of the Supreme Court of Florida. State's argument in their memorandum of sentencing is that because that's her maximum, that is also her minimum pursuant to the Gabriel case. I don't see any other way that you could read the Gabriel case, and I think, in fairness, the defense has sort of acknowledged that that's pretty much the situation. So, in regards to counts 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Is that accurate? The misdemeanors pursuant to the negotiations and adjudicate the defendant guilty, sentence her to 364 days concurrent with any other counts in this case, with credit for the 364 days that she's already served. She's actually got more credit than that, but that's a statutory maximum. In regard to count 2, driving under a suspended license, causing death or serious bodily injury, I do note it is an aggravator that she had no valid license, and she's not only choosing to drive, but choosing to drive under the influence. Pursuant to this, and state, not to be nitpicky, but I actually come up with the amount of 10.6625 would be the minimum and the maximum. So just to clarify specifically in calculating, I'm going to adjudicate the defendant guilty, sentence her 10.6625 years in the Department of Corrections. Her credit is 566 days, so with credit for the 566 days. On count 1, the DUI manslaughter, second-degree felony, I'm going to adjudicate you guilty. I'm going to sentence you consecutively to 7 years in the Department of Corrections to be served after the 10.6625, with, again, credit for, well, she's already gotten credit, I guess, on count 2, so that would already be applied. In regard to the remaining 8 years, I'm going to sentence you to followed by 8 years of probation, the conditions of which are following. Let me see where I get this down. There is a 4-year minimum mandatory to count 1, so the first 4 years of that term will be a minimum mandatory sentence. Conditions will be standard conditions of probation, plus she must have a substance abuse evaluation with any follow-up treatment. She must have the alcohol safety education course. If that overlaps with the substance abuse evaluation, of course, there would only be one required. Victim awareness program, 50 community service hours, $10,000 fine, and her driver's license will be permanently revoked. Otherwise, any standard fines and costs. State is not requesting cost of prosecution, cost of investigation, so I'll not be applying those. All right, does that cover everything? State?
And also no information.
All right. Any questions, Ms. Sytch? All right. You have 30 days to appeal. That must be in writing with the clerk of court. If you cannot afford counsel, appoint counsel to represent you.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
I gotta hand it to her. I almost felt bad for her. Almost. I was this close to feeling bad for her. It's a sad story. It was a good sob. Look, if you're gonna run a sob story by the judge, it's a pretty goddamn good one, right? Mental health issues. My back, my neck, my traumatic head injury from all of my in-ring bumps that I took. I'm sure she was just battered around so much and concussed all the time that she has permanent CTE. Now, I don't know for sure. Maybe she did. Fuck, I wasn't a wrestler either, and I got my head bashed off the fucking canvas on a leg drop. I got leg dropped, and my head hurt all goddamn night long. Because I tried to... Should have had my head turned, and I looked up, and it was taking too long. I looked up, like, where is he? Boom! On my head. Ow! Okay. But it is what it is. Wrestling, shit happens. She tried to blame it on her husband. Oh, my husband died. Oh, his tragic passing made me so depressed. Okay. Wasn't that long after you were, fucking every guy you could gets dick inside of you in the locker room while Chris was putting his boots on? I'll be right back, Chris. I'm going to go to the bathroom. Runs over to fucking anybody's locker room and fucking just takes the dick in a broom closet somewhere. Comes back. Okay, Chris, I'm ready to go. You ready to go? Let's go out here and kill it tonight. Yay! What about her getting fired from ECW? Fired from ECW, not WWECW either. Fired from Paul Heyman's Bingo Hall ECW for her drug problems. How fucked up do you gotta be to get fired from ECW for drug problems? They're literally fucking snorting coke, smoking weed, and fucking injecting each other in the locker rooms. It's been reported by multiple wrestlers. Popping pills, open pill sales. You can't tell me that it was this fucking... How bad do you gotta be? You gotta be completely worthless as a talent at that point. You know, not showing up, not doing what you're told, being a problem. All of this before Chris died. Then Chris died. Now when? She did fuck Dolph Ziggler somewhere in there, so that's cool. But she also got a bajillion DUIs. And look, I'm not trying to bury her either. I mean, I am, clearly, obviously. But I get that one thing leads to another and people eventually find themselves down a road that they never meant to go down in life. You know, part of her sob story, I wanted to be a doctor and help people. There was one time I helped a fan at a meet and greet. Good for her. I'm glad. And that's true. She was a medical student. She was a smart motherfucker, too. She was a young, pretty, smart college student. She had the whole world ahead of her. And she got brought into this crazy world that's called wrestling. And that's not an excuse because, you know, The Undertaker didn't kill anybody that we know of. I mean, on TV, he's killed lots of people. Paul Bearer. Other people, I'm sure. I don't remember off the top of my head, but he does that from time to time. He's The Undertaker. But you don't see him out just killing people in real life. Right? Stone Cold Steve Austin, been in the business his whole life. Does he go out and kill people? No. He doesn't do that. Sonny does. Sonny does. The judge threw the book at her. Now, she was facing up to 24 years. So the judge did not give her everything that she could. And she actually got more for the DUI on a suspended license than she did for killing the guy. She got 10 for the driving the fucking car and then 7 for murdering a guy by accident. Why I don't believe her and don't feel bad for her really boils down to her arguing with fans online after this happened and trying to defend herself. She is all about herself. That's who she cares about. All she's worried about is herself. That entire sob story, I've seen it a million times, my friends. Girls will cry and lie to get their way out of, some cheating ass bitch. I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. I didn't mean to. I just slipped and accidentally fell on his dick. Oh, they're sorry, all right. So fucking sorry. Uh-huh. Just sorry enough to try to stay out of jail. That's what you were, Sonny. In my opinion. I think she got a fair sentence. I don't know that she should have got the full 24. Maybe. Some people say that she should have. Look, I'm not even a big fan of prison sentences, to be honest. Prison scares the fuck out of me. Man, spending the rest of your life in a fucking box. A number in the system as part of a government. And even when you get out, your life's over. What are you going to do when you get out? Nothing. Nobody's going to want to have you around. You're a felon. You've spent your fucking 20 years in prison. Nobody cares. She will not be eligible until she's hit 85% of her sentence, which I am not a mathematician. I am a journalist. I am a writer, not a math guy. But 85% of 17 years, it's got to be, 15 years, right? 14 and a half, maybe? She's going to be gone for a long, long time. We have heard the last of Sonny, I think. Unless she ends up on some sort of documentary or, maybe she starts... you can write chicks in prison. I've looked into this. Don't ask why. There's some hot chicks in... maybe they murdered a person or two, but look. Casey Anthony, I'd still smash, right? Jody Arias, I'd still smash, right? So Sonny. But Sonny, I wouldn't smash Sonny. But maybe I would, just to say, why are we even talking about this? We're way off topic here. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. But what do you guys think? Jesus Christ. I'm going to just admonish myself for that one. I apologize for that. The show is not about my pervy fantasies. You don't tune in to hear about which WWF divas I want to have relations with. You come here to hear about the stories. And the story was Tammy Sytch sentenced to 17 years, 16 and change, 15 maybe, because she's already had like 500 some days time served. So about a year and a third, year and a half-ish she's already served. So I want to know all your thoughts about it. Let's have a conversation about Sonny down in the comments below. If you want to just be that guy like I just was and talk about how hot she used to be, go for it. I ain't going to shame you. If you'd still smash now, even though she looks the way she does, go ahead. I ain't going to shame you. If you're going to bitch at me about why I'm talking like this, about smashing people, fuck you. Put that down in the comments below. But also, I really do want to know your thoughts. Do you think Sonny should have gotten more? Do you think she should have gotten less? Did you buy her sob story? Or do you think it was just that? A sob story for a junkie and a troublemaker trying to keep herself out of more trouble. I want to hear your thoughts. It is sad, though. Ultimately, the whole thing's sad. It's sad for the wrestling industry, just because we never want to see one of our own out there making those kind of headlines. And, if there ever was a case for quietly removing someone from the WWE Hall of Fame, Sonny might be one of those people. And, she is the third. Was she the third WWE wrestler to kill somebody? No, there's got to be more than that, right? Pretty sure Steve Blackman's killed some people. I digress. This one's off the rails, folks, but I had fun with it. Peace, love, and pizza. Hit that subscribe button down below. We'll catch you in the next video.
Let me tell you something, brother. You can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on this channel, dude. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to take your vitamins and say your prayers, brother.